Hello friends, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to find the midpoint between 2 points on a graph. So we're starting with this example, -2, 1 and 4, 9. We want to know, right, if we draw a line from one point to the other, right, how do we find the midpoint? Where's the point that's right in the middle? So here's what we're going to do. I want you to imagine, like, if you were kind of standing over here looking at the graph this way, what would you see? You know, because if it was just one dimension, it would be kind of easy. You could probably kind of figure out what you would have to do to find the midpoint. But with 2 dimensions, it throws us off. So let's separate. Remember, we can always separate the dimensions, the vertical and the horizontal. It's a tool that we use in physics all the time with vectors and that kind of thing. But just imagine for a minute, we're looking at it from this one side. And what this would look like would be a line basically from 9 all the way down to 1. I don't draw it straight, but thankfully Notability corrects me. Okay, and so from 9 to 1, well, now that's easy, right? Because then I know that that's 8 units long, right? This is 8 from here to here. And so that means the midpoint's going to be halfway at 4. It would be right here. And now I know, of course, if I just go over, it would look like that. So that's the vertical. But let's say I don't have an easy setup like this where I can just find it in one spot and draw over and figure out where the midpoint's going to be. You know, basically, what did I do to find the midpoint? I took the average. You can think of it this way. The midpoint is the average of the 2 points. And you just treat the dimensions separately. Okay, so what is this coordinate, by the way? It's 1, 5, and 5 is the average of 1 and 9. So how do we find the average? Really, it's 1 plus 9 divided by 2. I'm taking 2 numbers and I'm finding the average, so I add them together and divide by 2, and that gives me 5. That should work for the horizontal as well. Let's take a look and see. They were -2 and 4. So -2, 4. Sorry, not comma. I want to add these. So -2 plus 4 over 2. All right, so well, -2 plus 4 is just 2. So 2 over 2, and that gives me 1. So that's the horizontal coordinate of 1, and that's what I found. Again, what you can do is you can kind of imagine, you know, that you're like floating above this graph or something, and you're looking down at the graph. And again, what would this look like? It would just look like a line from 1 to 4, and the midpoint would be right here, you know, 3 units from each side, or from -2 to 4, so that's a total length of 6, so you're 3 units from each side, and so that gives you that. Again, one of the keys here is just remembering that you can always separate the dimensions, and think of it this way too. If you kind of forget how to do something, pick something simple. Like, this is a relatively simple example. So pick a simple example that you can do and then ask yourself, what was it that I was doing? All right. So let's generalize what we did here. Our coordinates were -2, 1 and 4, 9. So when I did this, what I was doing was I was taking the 1 and the 9, right? Those were the 2 y coordinates, so y1 plus y2 over 2, and that gives me the y coordinate of the midpoint. Right? And then I was doing the same thing here, x1 plus x2 divided by 2, and that was giving me the x coordinate of the midpoint. So the formula for finding the midpoint, right, xm comma ym is x1 plus x2 over 2 comma y1 plus y2 over 2. So that's the generalized formula for finding the midpoint between any 2 points on a graph. But again, don't worry about memorizing it. Think of the understanding. You want to understand it. Basically what we're doing is we're finding the average of the 2 coordinates in each dimension and then just putting them together. So Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and send me a question if there's something you'd like to see.